You ever walk out of the store with a cheap desktop that looks good on paper, only to find it chokes on a spreadsheet or freezes during a video call? I've been there, and the frustration of "I thought I saved money" sticks with you for weeks. That's why I spent a few evenings digging into the Dell Pro Tower that's been marketed toward business pros, just to see if it actually saves you from that regret. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the hesitation most buyers feel isn't about the price tag. Dell's Pro Tower sits in the mid-range for business machines, but about the promise versus the reality of enterprise-grade performance. The headline specs read like a tech brochure: an Intel Core i7-14700 with 20 cores, 32 GB of DDR5 RAM, a 1 TB PCIe SSD, and dual monitor 4K support. Those numbers sound impressive, but what they translate to on a day-to-day basis is what matters. If you're the kind of professional who constantly jumps between large PowerPoint decks, data-heavy Excel models, and a handful of virtual meetings, you'll notice the difference almost immediately. The 20-core i7, paired with 32 GB of DDR5, handles heavy multitasking without the little "hold on a second" you get on older or budget machines. I tested it by opening a 1.2 GB PowerPoint deck, a live Teams call, and a Chrome tab with dozens of open tabs. Everything stayed fluid, and there was no noticeable lag when I switched windows. For remote workers who need to run a local virtual machine for testing code while also handling a cloud-based CRM, the extra cores give you headroom that you rarely feel with a standard office PC. The SSD is another spot where the value shows up. A 1 TB PCIe drive loads the operating system and applications in seconds, and large files like a 500 MB video clip for a marketing presentation copy in a blink. Compared with a traditional SATA SSD you might find in cheaper business desktops, the speed boost cuts down on idle time, which adds up over weeks of work. That said, the 1 TB capacity may feel tight if you store a lot of raw footage or massive datasets locally. In that case, you'll either need an external drive or an upgrade, which Dell does allow but at an additional cost. One feature that often gets overlooked in the spec sheet is the USB-C connectivity. Dell has put a USB-C port that supports data, video, and power delivery right on the front panel. In practice, that means you can plug a single cable from a laptop dock, a monitor that supplies power, and still have a handful of USB-A ports for peripherals. For anyone who runs a hybrid setup, maybe a laptop for travel and a desktop for the office, that single cable reduces desk clutter and makes swapping devices a breeze. Now let's talk about the things that might make you think twice. The tower's design is decidedly business rather than gaming or creative studio. It's a plain, matte black case with a minimal front panel. If you enjoy customizing the look of your workspace with RGB lighting or a glass side panel, you'll find this model a bit bland. It's also worth noting that Dell's Pro Tower doesn't come with a dedicated graphics card. The integrated graphics are enough for 4K video playback and multiple monitor setups, but if your work involves heavy 3D rendering, CAD, or video editing at high resolutions, you'll need to budget for an add-in GPU later. That isn't a flaw per se. Dell expects you to choose the configuration that fits your workload, but it's a hidden trade-off that can bite you if you assume all-in-one performance. Another practical point is the upgrade path. The tower does have space for additional drives and a larger graphics card, but the internal layout can be tight, especially if you try to add a full-size GPU and a second SSD. For most business users who stick to office applications and light media work, this isn't a problem, but power users should check the dimensions before buying a large GPU. Who should buy this Dell Pro Tower? If you're a remote professional who juggles several demanding applications, think consultants, financial analysts, or software developers who need to run local test environments, this machine hits a sweet spot. The combination of a high core count CPU, ample DDR5 memory, and a fast SSD gives you a smooth experience without paying the premium you'd see on a workstation that comes preloaded with a workstation-grade GPU. It also fits nicely into a corporate IT environment because it ships with Windows 11 Pro, which includes BitLocker encryption, group policy support, and other enterprise-level security features that many small businesses need but can't get from consumer-grade PCs. Who should skip it? If your primary workload is graphics-intensive like 3D modeling, video post-production, or heavy gaming, you'll likely hit the ceiling once you need a discrete GPU. In that case, looking at Dell's Precision line or a custom-built tower with a dedicated GPU might make more sense. Also, if you're a freelancer on a shoestring budget who can get by with a refurbished older model or